Hey there, welcome to My Green Pets. I'm William Green. This weekend is the Tamiami Orchid Festival in Redlands, Florida. I'm not there. I know a lot of people are there, and I'm going to be looking for those videos and pictures on social media. Hopefully get an idea of what it's like. I would love to go. Just can't do it this year. Maybe another year. We are going to look at some of the Bulbophyllums in spike today, getting ready to bloom. Also, one little Cattleya in bud. And I'm also going to show you some of the seedlings that I have from my collection that are from Steve Christofferson. If you've been checking out stuff on eBay, you will know what I'm talking about. His Cattleyas go for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I'm fortunate to have a few of the seedlings from his collection, from his breeding. We'll look at those, and that'll be it. So let's get started. Bulbophyllum lepidum. This spike has shot up so fast in just 1 week. You can see the flower buds are starting to develop. The spike may not be getting much longer. So it would be nice if this spike reached out of the pot here. I showed this plant on my conversation with Stephen Van Camp and Lewis a few weeks ago, and he said, why did you pot the plant like this? I did have my reasons. So Bulbophyllums, for me, are notorious for just climbing out of whatever container they're in and spreading out. So I try to pot them in tall containers so that they are contained a little bit. And obviously it'll outgrow this in a couple of growths, but at least for now it's contained all in one spot. It's got humidity around it. The medium is going to stay a little bit more moist in there than if it were an open pot. And it produced 2 really nice big growths this year, so I'm thinking that it works okay for it. But yeah, plants that ramble, I like to put in really tall pots so they can't ramble as much. Bulbophyllum catenulatum's got lots of little spikes on it. Very, very thin little spikes. And one flower looks like it's about to pop open maybe tomorrow or the next day. Really cute little thing. Really glad that it is doing okay. Seeming to do okay. And should be getting lots of those little flowers opening one by one over the next few weeks. Here's a little plant I did not expect to bloom this year. This is RLC Jessie Lee. I moved it was towards the back. I moved it so that the little bud sticking out there, I oriented the plant so that it is now facing the window. Because even though the sun only shines through for a couple of hours, it is so much brighter than the artificial lights that flowers tend to grow towards the window. So I turned the plant, hopefully the flower is going to grow out and this way, away from, hopefully it won't grow into itself. I like when the flower grows out there away from the plant so we can turn around and get a good look at it. So looking forward. Jessie Lee is right on time. Last year, same timeline as last year, budding up in late September, bud development all through the first couple weeks of October, and by the 3rd week of October she was in full bloom. So looking forward to repeating that. Even though we only have one little bud this year, it is one more bud than we expected. My Cattleya maxima is finally back in growth mode. You can see it's just produced 2 new pseudobulbs and it's got more pushing. And I really feel like the timeline of this plant is not quite in sync with the rest of my other plants. It begins growing in August and September and then blooms the following summer. But that's okay. January of last year it had a really nasty, it looked like some kind of a fungus, purple fungus that was in the roots and causing everything to just look bad. Cut all that stuff off, haven't seen any evidence of that so far this year. Fingers crossed we're not going to see it again. I just have it potted in a few pieces of granite rocks and then mostly just roots in a pot. Not a whole lot of medium in there. Hopefully plenty of air can get there and it gets good and dry before it gets watered. Looking for some nice new growths, hopefully at least as big as last year's growths, with some nice big sheaths on them as well. Alright, I'm going to share with you some of my seedlings that originally were bred by Steve Christofferson. He's got amazing Cattleyas, and he does have an eBay page where he sells several of those. I got to give a special thanks to Kevin, who sent me these seedlings back in May, April or May, and I am so thrilled to have them. So I want to show you these, how they're doing. They seem to be growing okay. I'm really excited. So you can see it says from Steve Christofferson. This is a Triony, Hennington's by Maggie's Radiance. I don't know these parents, but when it came to me, it had these little leaves. It put out a couple more, and the leaf it puts out this year looks bigger, but that's a good sign. And really excited. I've never seen a Triony in bloom, and I've got 3 now seedlings. These, I believe, Triony blooms in late winter, like in February, March. So when they are finally bloom size, they would be something to look forward to after the new year. Another seedling from Christofferson. This is Mossii R.E. Patterson by Panther Creek HCC. Again, this is a first for me. I don't believe I've ever seen a Mossii in bloom. Here's this summer's growth. Some nice new roots pushing out. And just again, really excited. Apparently this is a very dark variety, but we certainly will see. Mossii is a spring bloomer. It is the national flower of Venezuela. Triony, I believe, is the national flower of Colombia. Really excited about this one. Another first for me, Cattleya labiata. This is the first Cattleya species to be discovered back in the mid-1800s. This variety is Sherwood Forest by Parola rubra. You can see the rubra in the new leaf, how purple it is. There's a lot of color, a lot of pigment in this plant. That's super exciting. It's a still very small plant. It's still probably got few years to go, but we're getting there. The newest growth looks good. Happy with it. Labiata is a September-October bloomer. It's a fall bloomer. It's one of the Cattleyas that is triggered by shortening day length. So this will be a really lovely addition to the Cattleya calendar. My Rexes bloom all summer, and then the Labiatas would start blooming in the fall. Trionies in the winter, and then Mossii in the spring. Looking forward to having a full gamut of Cattleya blooms throughout the year. Let's look at another one from Christofferson. Alright, this is the last Christofferson seedling that I have. This is another labiata. This is Libra by Sherwood Forest, AMAOS. You can also see there is quite a bit of pigment in this plant as well. Look at those purple leaves. That could be an indication of a very dark flower. We can hope. I really don't care. I'm just happy to have it. Really excited. This one's much further along. I think 1 or 2 growths ahead of the other ones I showed you. So this one could be producing flowers conservatively, maybe 3 years, if we can keep going the way that we are going now. Again, labiata is a fall bloomer. So I've got 3. I've got 2 that are from Christofferson that seem to be dark. Going to have dark flowers, and then I have another semi-alba from Carter and Holmes. So that will be lovely to have. One more little pot of seedlings I want to show you. These again from my friend Kevin in New York. Thank you, Kevin, so much. These are awesome. This is Cattleya blosfoliana from HBI originally. And I was telling you last week, the exciting moment for me when growing seedlings is when they come out with their first bulb. So you can see right in there, we got our first bulb on this guy poking out. It's also got new growth, and then another little new growth hiding down there. And I'm gonna leave this guy alone, let him keep growing in this pot until he's climbing out, and then I think there's actually 2 plants, maybe more in here. I'm gonna separate those out and put them in their own pots, probably next year. I showed you this Rex last week. Its roots had been attacked by snails. I submerged the whole plant in a 5-gallon bucket of water for a few hours, picked off all the snails that were climbing out, and now the plant is trying to recover, growing some new roots. I am watching very carefully for any little bite marks on the roots. That's going to tell me it's time to do another dunk. But I'm really, really impressed with how this plant is trying to recover and grow out as many new roots as it can while it still can. Alright, that's it for the tent today, but I am going to show you my Clivia. It's getting close to full bloom right now and it's looking really nice. Let's go have a look. Isn't she pretty? Like I mentioned last week, this is Clivia's 3rd bloom this year. Bloomed in January, bloomed again in June, and now it's blooming in October. That's a first for me, and I just really, really enjoy it so much. The form of the plant itself is just nice, but then the flowers are just icing on the cake. It's just so, so, so nice. The plant is potted in orchid bark, just orchid bark mix I bought at the hardware store, and it's in a really big pot because it does have a pretty big root system. I water it thoroughly with light fertilizer, similar to orchid levels of fertilizer, and then I let it get pretty dry before I water again, and it seems to be working okay. It just keeps looking better and better. I'm excited. I'm not sure why the leaves do this. I have a feeling that it's just a nutrient issue. Like when it starts to bloom, it has to pull nutrients out of its leaves because it's maybe not got enough at the roots. So maybe I need to fertilize it a little bit more when it's blooming. But overall, I'm really happy with it. And it's a great plant for dry climates. It likes dry air. It doesn't like to be overwatered. It doesn't like hot, humid conditions. So it's really perfect for me living here in Colorado where it's dry and cool most of the year. It really seems to like it. All right, guys, that's it for this week. I hope you have a great one. Happy growing, and we'll see you next time right here on My Green Pets. I'm William Green. Bye.